Welcome to the Data Cloud Podcast, Dave. We're very happy to have you with us.
It's good to be here.
Putting an organization's data resources into top form for analytics and business intelligence benefits goes a long way to ensuring quality processes and enhanced business outcomes. But for BlackRock, a leading asset manager and technology provider, modern data infrastructure is also the path to productizing financial services. So tell us how BlackRock developed the Aladdin platform internally as a way to share data programmatically, and then how that led to an external commercial product, and then also Aladdin Studio.
Sure, Dan, appreciate the question. So Aladdin is a platform that's been around just over 20 years, and I have the benefit of working at a company that has always understood the value of data. So when you hear us speak about the language of the portfolio, what we mean is we're stitching together all of the constituent pieces that make the investment process work. So from the beginning, Aladdin has been driven by data. I think what's changed is that the way we think about data historically has been that it's a utility. And the raw ingredients into the factory are the market data, the economic data that we bring into the platform, and then the analytics that we produce. I think what's changed today is that the data is now at the core of the investment process. We are differentiated. The decisions that we're making on what we're investing in more and more are driven by the data that we have. So I think we've transitioned. We've always had data at the core of what we do. Now data is at the center of the investment decision-making process. So Aladdin has evolved from being an analytics factory to becoming an intelligence factory built on top of a rich set of data.
Help me understand the differentiation between the rich and quality nature of the data and then the modern data fabric and cloud assets behind that help Aladdin move forward. Is it a equal share, or is one more important than the other, and how do you keep both in line?
For sure. Yeah. So first of all, our clients trust us to get their data right. So the first thing, the most important thing is that the market data that we're bringing in, the trading, the transactional information that we have from our clients, that is pristine. So that evolves around data governance, data quality, checking that everything is right. So that's the regulatory, the investment data that is critical. It's the most central part of our business. Then there is the data that's powering the decision making. Now that might be as varied as airline flight prices, macroeconomic data, even things like satellite imagery that we might bring in. That obviously has a very different shape. So in a single cohesive data platform, we are on the one hand dealing with very high quality, regulatory standard quality data. And on the same platform, we're able to bring in at scale a very, very wide variety of data very, very quickly, bringing in new types of data into the platform that are powering the decision-making process.
I see. Now, BlackRock is not only a top asset manager, you've also become basically a technology products company. Tell us how that productization took place and what that means for you as an organization. It seems like you've got a dual mandate.
At the beginning, BlackRock was founded on the notion that technology is a differentiator. And like I said, underpinning that is the heart of the data platform. As BlackRock grew, our clients recognized that our technology was differentiated and asked, could they use the same software? So BlackRock pretty quickly entered the fintech business and we started offering Aladdin as a service. Fast forward 20 years to where we are today. Now we think of Aladdin as a platform. Our clients are some of the world's biggest financial institutions. They are coming into Aladdin, building on top of Aladdin, customizing, extending, expanding Aladdin, bringing their own data, their own perspectives across a very, very varied set of public, private market assets and an entire universe of data that backs those up. But it fundamentally changes the mindset. When you are building an internal software product versus building a product that you know is going to some of these very large financial institutions, the way that you think about the quality of the data product, the quality of the software that you're delivering, it's fundamentally different.
Tell us a little bit, Dave, if you would, about your role there as head of engineering for Aladdin Studio, your background, and how you got to where you are.
Sure. So I'm a data nerd at heart. I started my career in MicroStrategy, and my role now at BlackRock is to do exactly what I just laid out. So we think about Aladdin today as a platform, and Aladdin Studio is essentially the user experience that allows people to think of Aladdin as a platform. It exposes everything Aladdin knows how to do as a set of APIs, events, the Aladdin Data Cloud, built on top of Snowflake, takes all of that information that's generated through our analytics factory and inside of Aladdin and pushes that into Snowflake. And increasingly, we're building a set of developer tools. So understanding that we power innovation when we decentralize it, like the world where the investment process is built by a small set of engineers and a team that's in a central organization, that's long gone. We see in business engineering more and more across all of our clients. So the third pillar of Studio is, how do I bring those people in? How do I create environments where they have sandboxes, research environments, they can start code, they can build applications, they can automate their workflows, they can automate the investment process through algos, and then taking those artifacts that people come and build on top of Aladdin and natively integrating them into the investment process. That's my role, is engineering for that platform, Aladdin Studio.
And a few moments ago, you mentioned that you have transitioned from an analytics engine to an intelligence engine. It's just a few small words, but I think there's an awful lot behind that. Tell us how that transition takes place. How do you get from analytics to intelligence?
For sure. Like I said, I think at our roots, where we started our differentiation was our ability to understand the risk of the market. That's what we call our analytics factory. The raw ingredients for the analytics factory are those macroeconomics, the third party, that reference data. That would drive a risk. We called it the green package. So every day, a portfolio manager, we called it the green package because it was printed on green paper. So it stood out on their desk. It was the most important thing sat in front of them. So every day they had this thing called the green package. That's my portfolio risk for the day. That gave them insight into where their portfolios were and what the risk was. But the decision-making process was largely theirs. What we see increasingly is that the decision-making process is also powered by data. And the volume of data that you're consuming as you're going through the decision-making process, increasingly you need machines to help you either suggest or refine or curate that decision based on the data that you have, or maybe even propose ideas that as a portfolio manager you can then react to. So that's the transition from, we're still producing that daily risk. It's still the heart of our data ecosystem. It's the most valuable product that comes out of our analytics factory. But once I've taken that start of day risk, there's an entire universe of other data sets that are being fed either into traditional Pythonic environments, into BI tools, reporting tools, or increasingly into AI, that are then creating suggestions or driving additional insights that our portfolio managers have at their fingertips.
And in doing this, does the opportunity to have more intelligence brought to bear on, a 20-year-old process, does that bring about what we think of as democratization? That is to say, can more people avail themselves of this? Have you been able to, with the intelligence, make it perhaps more user-friendly across a wider group of people who might want to be programmatic in how they develop their own analysis?
It's a great question. Dana, one of the things I was thinking about is, so like I said, I'm a data nerd. I've been doing this for a long time. And one of the things that's really exciting is the group of us that work in the data space have somehow found ourselves in the center of the universe, technically, right? I'm sure some people planned that and their careers got them exactly into the right place. I think some of us just happened to love data and wound up here. But the thing that's really exciting about where we are today is that our consumer base, like the people that are directly consuming our product, has grown and grown. And the potential now for the future is for it to exponentially grow. And that, you talk about democratization of data. So that started with the end user tools, Excel, Power BI. So we've been there for a while. We, several years ago, crossed the threshold where more of our users are consuming data programmatically through Python, pick your favorite toolkit, then they are bringing it down to Excel. Not in terms of megabytes, but in terms of the number of queries, the number of users that are on the platform. So then we have this entire new user base, this Pythonic user base. And now where we're heading is something that would require a data scientist PhD to answer is now going to be at your fingertips with a simple prompt. So we think about, the potential of AI, and of course, it's really exciting to think about where we're heading. The thing that I find most exciting and gratifying is the universe of customers that we have is basically everybody that can ask a question, right? So that democratization of data, I think where we just hit the peak of the kind of the Pythonic, the programmatic interaction curve. So inside of BlackRock, we have 3,000 citizen developers and business engineers that are interacting with Aladdin using Python or using R. I think that number is probably peaked. I think now we're on the other side of that, where increasingly sophisticated workloads are going to be presented through natural language. And that means any user can ask complicated questions of a whole variety of data sets, and the AI can again take those away and in an explainable way, in a governed way, because that's important, can answer those questions and provide insight that historically has required a very special skill set. So I think, yes, we've made huge progress in democratizing data, but I also think we're just getting started.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you're, as an early adopter of bleeding edge technology, you're expanding rapidly your addressable market. And though that relationship hasn't always been the case with technology, a lot of times the more technical, the more complex, and unfortunately, even a smaller addressable market. So you reversed a major trend in technology.
100% agree.
Yeah. Okay. For those of us who don't fully understand what an asset manager does, how are people internally at BlackRock availing themselves of this analysis? And also, how are your outside consumers of the productization of your technology doing that? What do they do with this? What kind of questions are they going to answer? Give us a sense of the use cases that are most prominent.
For sure. I think when our technology works at its best, most of our users will never think, oh, this data is coming from Snowflake, or we have a new enterprise data platform that's powering this great insight. The reaction that we want from our users is, wow, I'm getting the information that I need at my fingertips. It's embedded in all of the tools. So the Aladdin application is a suite of tools that power the entire investment lifecycle, from a portfolio manager that's managing a portfolio and wants to understand what holdings do I have. If it's a fixed income portfolio, if it's an equity portfolio, how are my assets balanced? Where is my risk? How do I want to change the structure of my portfolio? So that means bringing down massive amounts of data, munging those, working on those, looking at those in the context of macroeconomics on forward projections, and then presenting those to a user in a meaningful way. The portfolio manager is the tip of the iceberg. Behind them, you have an entire raft of data operators, of trading operators, that make sure that the investment lifecycle works as it's supposed to. Like I said, when I'm successful, that means that the data that our team is providing is making the investment process work seamlessly. One of the key metrics that we think about when we talk about the efficiency of the investment process is our straight-through processing rate, right? Our first-time rate on analytics. That is all based on our ability to do shift left QC. We want to move technical data quality, business data quality as far left in the pipeline as we can. That lets us hit those straight-through processing rates, those first-time right rates on our analytics. And that means that our users have a great experience in the tool.
To that point about the quality, the shifting of left, getting as best you can, as early as you can, describe the Aladdin Data Cloud. I think you're about 5 years into that, and how that fits into that shift left data quality process.
Yeah, I think so. It was around 2019, we started understanding that our clients are building their own data ecosystem. So it was early in we just passed maybe the peak of hype curve for big data. And then it was more about how do we build enterprise data that generates real insights. Data mesh was becoming popular. This notion of data products was becoming popular. And our clients were starting to ask the question, how do we take this really high quality data that's coming out of Aladdin and bring that into our own data ecosystem? Or how can Aladdin provide us higher scale data consumption tools that will allow us to ask bitemporal questions of the history of our investment process? We didn't have a data platform that could do that at the time, and that's where we started our conversation with Snowflake. The purpose of the Aladdin Data Cloud is to take all of the data that lives inside of Aladdin, to take all of that third-party data, that macroeconomic data, and this is the key part. We unify that, and we call it the language of the portfolio, and then to deliver that to our clients. And the real enabler, and the thing that has generated, I think, real data joy in our clients, is that we can deliver that to them where they are. So if they're sitting in their cloud provider of choice, they're sitting in their technology of choice, through Snowflake and through data sharing, that allowed us to bring this rich Aladdin context into their data ecosystem, and they could start accessing it. But the big differentiator is it's not about taking the raw data and moving it to them. We understand that they can do that themselves. If you take an example of something like ESG, so like environmental, social governance, how does that play into the makeup of my portfolio? Getting that data is very easy. Mapping that data and understanding that in the context of the investments that you've made is very, very hard. It requires you to do a lot of symbology processing. How do I bring the data into a common language? We call it the language of the portfolio. And what's happened in the last 10, 15 years is the complexity of the things that you can buy as an asset manager has massively increased. So we have private markets investments, we have public market investments. The benefit of Aladdin and Aladdin Data Cloud is we bring all of that together into a single symbology, a single language, the language of the portfolio, and we deliver it to our clients in a way that they get value from. And again, that very much is rooted in this notion of data products. So understanding that a product is something that is designed, it's thoughtful, it's governed, it's documented, it has metrics around it of when the data is going to be available, what the quality control metrics are, what the warranties are, and then deliver that with a specific business purpose in mind to our clients so that they can get value from it.
We talk a lot in our conversations about the challenges around ingestion and getting the data in good shape for an analysis, but you've now taken the analysis and are driving it back out, so a two-way street. And I'm thinking that other organizations are going to be attempting the same thing. So I want to know what challenges you had in becoming a two-way street in terms of distribution of the data and analytics in a way that your prospective addressable market can consume it.
I think it's two things. I think the first thing, and we realized this fairly early on, is that we had to invest in our governance framework. So understanding who was governing it, who were the stewards, and the product managers, like the data product owners, who were the product owners that were going to shape this data. That was a muscle that we didn't have organizationally. And that's before you start thinking about federating that out across the organization, but we'll park that one for now. So the first thing is making a legitimate investment organizationally and in terms of talent and building out the data governance muscle. I think the second thing is recognizing that the platform isn't just one piece. So we love the partnership with Snowflake. It's a key part of our platform, but it's a part of a platform. The platform is very, very complex. We actually have a slide that we show our internal stakeholders that has all the technologies that we use in our enterprise data platform. And the purpose behind that is to demonstrate like it is a fairly sophisticated machine that you have to put together to deliver a data product. It requires observability, transformation, requires governance. A data catalog obviously is going to be at the heart of it. So understanding the complexity is much more than simply solving for the data platform. So building that technology muscle, but then also building the governance muscle so that you can deliver at scale, high quality, operable data products out to your clients.
Yeah, I'm curious, Dave, what cultural shift did you have to take in going from being an organization as an internal supplier to BlackRock for technology and solutions to that external and commercial approach? Do you have to think differently, or how do you have to flex different muscles, if you will, in order to not just satisfy an internal constituency, but productize that? Because again, I think other people are going to be following your lead.
So I would say, to be clear, we have always been distributing data to our clients. So that was something that we had done before. We'd been sending files. We had less modern ways of sending data to our clients. So that wasn't new to us. Our clients very much depend on us to deliver the highest quality data to them. So that relationship, that mindset of our product is data and the data has to be right, that already existed. I think what we underestimated was the complexity and the scale of the operations engine that you have to have. One of our biggest challenges is fleet management. We operate hundreds of Snowflake accounts. We share data to hundreds of Snowflake accounts, and we're managing hundreds of vendors, tens of thousands of pipelines. The scale that we are bringing in and sending data out has massively grown. So I think that's something that we certainly had to focus on. And again, the complexity of that data has also grown. So I think those are the areas where we've been really focused in terms of delivering data as a product to our clients.
Yeah. So it sounds like you brought in Snowflake, particularly for the Aladdin Data Cloud, but that it's sort of expanded, that the model to manage the complexity and scale now touches more parts of your organization. Is that fair?
100%. You're winning with a technology when you bring it into a large organization and you see that organic growth. People see they have a new tool in the toolkit, and as long as we understand where does it work really, really well, we're getting massive value from it across the estate. So we started our relationship with Snowflake as a vehicle for, historizing all of the data that lives inside of our Aladdin ecosystem and then delivering that to our clients. That was the product. It's now being used across the organization, a variety of use cases, internal and external, and that continues to grow. And one of the really gratifying parts of being an early partner of Snowflake is we have had an opportunity to go on the journey with you. So seeing the new technologies. So one of the things that we're moving into is we're moving away from batch-oriented pipelines to more real-time pipelines. Technologies like dynamic tables that didn't exist, 12 months ago are changing the way we think about building our pipelines. So as the platform evolves, the opportunity for us to use it in more parts of our ecosystem is also presenting itself. So absolutely, it's become a core part of many different parts of our organizational process.
What comes next for your organization? What are your priorities in terms of the types of projects in order to manage that addressable market? And then once you've captured it, keep adding more, sophistication and service levels on top.
I think I'm required to say AI is a focus for us, and of course it is. That building the data platform that's going to power differentiated AI outcomes for BlackRock and our clients down the road is very much a key focus for us. But where that is built on top of a foundation of higher data quality, more data, the ability to bring in different types of data. So we are very much on a journey to what we call a whole portfolio view. And I talked a little bit about bringing in public and private markets data together. We are on that journey, but we're not done with that journey. So that's very much a focus for us. And again, that means supporting different perspectives of data. So for those that are not familiar, private markets data is very diverse. A private market investment could be into a wind farm, or it could be into a piece of infrastructure, a data center, right? A very different type of asset versus I'm purchasing an equity or something from the fixed income universe. So bringing these very different types of data together requires us to build a different kind of technology. And again, this is where some of Snowflake's newer technologies is really enabling us. The ability to support unstructured data sets, the ability to store data in a vectorized database. These are things that are powering that transformation into a whole portfolio view. So I'd say it's those two things. AI is going to be at the heart of what we're focused on in the next 5 years, like a lot of our competitors, but that has to be driven off of a very varied, very wide data universe, which provides a whole portfolio view of public and private market data. We don't think anybody else will be able to provide that.
Interesting. So it seems that for quite some time, you've been productizing data, and then you productized analytics, and then you productized a sophisticated way of leveraging those analytics. And now you're teasing the idea, I think, of productizing AI itself. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think our AI strategy in my mind is really threefold. The first part is every part of our product has to have AI integrated it from the start. So when a user comes to Aladdin, increasingly that interaction is going to be it will be more refined, it will be more natural language driven. Like a lot of tools that you're seeing today, AI will be woven into everything we do. The second thing is we have AI as a platform. So as somebody who's building on top of the Aladdin ecosystem, what are the AI capabilities that Aladdin will provide that will give me differentiated insight into my portfolio? So as a builder and an integrator in the platform, how do I think? And the third is how do I power the builder? So when I'm building on top of Aladdin and I need a co-pilot to help me build and solve the problem that I have, how does AI inside of the platform help me as an engineer, as an in-business engineer, as a portfolio manager who's building or customizing or generating an artifact on top of the system?
So a lot of AI enabling the generation and advancement of more AI.
For sure. And also recognizing that our role as the owners of the data platform, so we know down the road, and this is when I talk about growing our customer base, we want to live in a world where any user can, with natural language, ask any sophistication of question against our entire data corpus, and we can, with explainability, answer that through AI. Now, we're leveraging a lot of the AI capabilities that live inside of Snowflake and across our partner ecosystem, and we're not there yet. But that's the direction of travel, and that's where we need to get to. So everything we're doing is underpinning AI outcomes that are going to be used by our clients. And going back to that core concept, if we get this right, the outcome of that will be a very simple, very natural interaction from our clients, and they'll never think about this massive complexity that sits underneath that.
The invisible AI enablement. Yeah. Hey, it's very exciting, and I hope I can talk with you in a couple of years and see how that's panned out. Last question, because you're the head of engineering, I have to ask you, as you've been developing AI in association with these sophisticated data fabrics and corpus, as you refer to it, are there skill sets in the engineering department, those who you work with, that you may have found counterintuitive to what you may have initially expected? As to say, what are the type of skills and people and culture that you found you'll need as an engineering organization to accomplish this?
I think it's a great question. I think the answer is that it isn't so much a different skill set, it's a different way to think about problem solving. So we've reached the point where AI isn't correcting our bad code anymore. AI isn't generating just test cases for us. We are at a place where we can think about AI as being an engineer that sits next to me that I can pair code with. And I can actually outsource some tasks to that engineer. So what we are very serious about is how do we reskill and upskill our engineers so that we are leveraging the best of the AI capabilities that are going to help us move faster. And of course, what we're finding is that the new people that are joining the organization at the grassroots, the grads that are coming in from college, they have those skills built in. So they're teaching us in some ways. I think fundamentally, the skills that make you successful as an engineer haven't changed. The mindset of how you work with AI, but how you then make the AI more valuable by being a subject matter expert, by being a horizontal connector, by working through the process to generate a differentiated outcome. Like, that's the human superpower. And I don't see that going away. But upskilling ourselves so that we're leveraging the best of the tools so we can move faster, while we ourselves provide that horizontal glue and we push towards that high value outcome for our clients, that's the mindset change.
Well, I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much to our latest Data Cloud podcast guest, Dave Woodhead, Managing Director and Head of Engineering for Aladdin Studio at BlackRock. We so much appreciate your sharing your thoughts, experience, and expertise. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dana. It's been a pleasure.